Dark clouds loomed overhead as my best friend Jake and I stood before the decrepit gates of the long-forgotten mansion. Its towering silhouette, outlined against the backdrop of the full moon, sent shivers down our spines. The air was thick with an unsettling stillness, and the trees surrounding the mansion seemed to whisper ancient secrets. Despite the warnings from the locals and the ominous stories that circulated about the place, Jake and I couldn't resist the allure of the abandoned mansion. Legends spoke of ghostly apparitions, tortured souls, and a malevolent force that lay dormant within its walls. It was the perfect setting for a thrill-seeking adventure, or so we thought. With flashlights in hand, we pushed open the creaking gates and ventured into the overgrown courtyard. The mansion's facade loomed above us like a silent sentinel of forgotten memories. The once grand structure now stood as a crumbling relic of a bygone era, its windows shattered and its walls cloaked in shadows. As we stepped through the grand entrance, the air inside felt heavy and oppressive. The floorboards groaned beneath our weight, as if protesting our intrusion. The narrow hallways were adorned with tattered wallpaper, peeling away to reveal the decaying walls beneath. It was a chilling sight, but the thrill of the unknown pushed us deeper into the mansion's abyss. As we explored the labyrinthine corridors, our flashlights flickered sporadically, casting eerie shadows that danced on the walls. Whispers echoed through the empty halls, and the temperature plummeted with each step we took. A pervasive sense of dread settled over us, but we pressed on, driven by a morbid curiosity that seemed to drown out the rational voice of caution. In a forgotten room, we discovered a dusty Ouija board lying on a rotting table. Despite our initial hesitations, we decided to try to communicate with whatever spirits may linger within the mansion. The planchette moved ominously across the board, spelling out cryptic messages that sent shivers down our spines. The atmosphere grew charged with an otherworldly energy, and a cold wind swept through the room, extinguishing our flashlights. Suddenly, a ghastly figure materialized before us, an ethereal silhouette with hollow eyes that seemed to pierce through the darkness. A guttural voice filled the air, chilling us to the bone. The figure beckoned us to follow, and against our better judgment, we complied. The mansion seemed to transform around us as we navigated its haunted halls. The walls pulsated with an otherworldly energy, and the air crackled with malevolence. Shadows twisted and contorted, taking on grotesque forms that seemed to mock the living. In a dimly lit chamber, the figure revealed its true nature. It spoke in a voice that echoed with the anguish of 1,000 tormented souls. It claimed to be the spirit of a former resident, wronged in life and seeking retribution. As its words echoed in our minds, an invisible force seized control of Jake's body. His eyes turned a sinister shade of crimson, and an otherworldly power coursed through him. He spoke in tongues that were both ancient and incomprehensible. I watched in horror as my best friend, possessed by a malevolent force, advanced toward me with an unnatural gait. Desperation engulfed me as I sought a way to break the grip of the entity. In a stroke of inspiration, I grabbed the Ouija board from the table and, with trembling hands, began to recite an incantation meant to banish the spirit. The air crackled with energy as the room convulsed with unseen forces. As the incantation reached its climax, Jake's possessed form convulsed, and the ghastly figure wailed in agony. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, and the mansion seemed to exhale a sigh of relief. When the darkness finally subsided, Jake collapsed to the floor, unconscious but free from the spirit's grip. We stumbled out of the mansion, shaken and forever changed by the horrors we had witnessed. The once silent night now echoed with the distant cries of the tormented spirits we had disturbed. The mansion, having claimed another pair of unwitting trespassers, returned to its solemn state of decay, its secrets buried once more in the depths of the supernatural realm. As Jake and I emerged into the moonlit night, the air felt different, lighter, as if a heavy weight had been lifted. We exchanged a glance, and the gravity of what we had just experienced settled upon us like a haunting fog. The wind whispered through the overgrown trees, carrying with it the residual echoes of the spectral encounter. We supported each other as we made our way back through the courtyard and past the now ominous gates. The once decrepit mansion loomed behind us, a silent witness to the supernatural turmoil it harbored. The memories of ghostly apparitions, possessed utterances, and the malevolent force that sought revenge replayed in our minds like a ghastly film. The outside world, though welcoming, felt different too. The mundane sounds of the night seemed to overlap with eerie echoes from the mansion. Every rustle of leaves and distant hoot of an owl carried a spectral undertone. We couldn't shake the feeling that the spirits we had encountered were still lingering, their ethereal presence trailing us like unseen shadows. As we reached the edge of the woods surrounding the haunted mansion, a bone-chilling wail pierced the air. We turned back, half expecting to see the ghastly figure emerging from the shadows. The wind whispered cryptic messages, as if the spirits were bidding us a haunting farewell. The following days were fraught with unease. Jake and I struggled to comprehend the depth of the supernatural forces we had unleashed. Nightmares plagued our sleep, vivid visions of the possessed ritual and the tormented souls that lingered in the mansion. The line between waking and dreaming blurred, and we questioned the sanity of our own perceptions. In the wake of our encounter, the local townsfolk sensed a disturbance. Rumors spread like wildfire, and the once avoided mansion became the epicenter of dark tales. Some claimed to hear ghostly cries in the dead of night, while others reported mysterious shadows flitting past the shattered windows. The townspeople, superstitious and wary, avoided the haunted grounds as if an invisible barrier had been erected. As weeks passed, Jake and I found ourselves drawn back to the mansion, compelled by a haunting curiosity and a gnawing guilt for disturbing the spirit's restless slumber. We stood at the edge of the woods, gazing at the decaying structure in the moonlight. The air crackled with an unnatural energy, and a chilling wind carried whispers that seemed to beckon us closer. Against our better judgment, we ventured back into the haunted mansion. The atmosphere was thick with anticipation, and the air hummed with the spectral resonance of the spirits we had encountered before. As we explored the familiar corridors, we couldn't shake the feeling that the mansion itself was alive, a sentient entity that remembered our intrusion. In the heart of the mansion, we discovered a hidden chamber, a room untouched by time. A ghostly figure materialized before us, but this time it bore a different countenance. The eyes were no longer hollow, and the voice that echoed through the room held a melancholic tone. The spirit spoke of forgiveness and release, revealing the tragic tale of its mortal life and the injustices that bound it to the earthly realm. Touched by the spirit's plight, Jake and I became conduits for its redemption. We conducted a ritual, guided by the ethereal entity, to release the trapped souls from the shackles of the haunted mansion. The air shimmered with a radiant light, and the once ominous shadows retreated. As the ritual concluded, a profound stillness settled over the mansion. The air felt cleansed, and the oppressive energy that had clung to the walls dissipated. The ghostly figure, now at peace, thanked us with a solemn nod before fading into the ether. Jake and I exited the mansion, the weight of our earlier transgressions lifted. The night, once charged with supernatural tension, felt serene. The moonlit courtyard and the surrounding woods, once witnesses to our harrowing experience, embraced us in a newfound calm. The haunted mansion, no longer a vessel of malevolence, stood in silence, a relic of the past, its secrets finally laid to rest. Jake and I walked away, forever changed by our encounter with the supernatural. The town, too, felt the shift in energy, as if a lingering curse had been lifted, and the spirits that once haunted the mansion found solace in the afterlife. As we ventured into the distance, the abandoned mansion behind us whispered its final farewells, and the night embraced the echoes of our haunting journey into the unknown.